Hey, welcome back. I'm Chris, and today we're gonna make this DIY softbox for, well, any little light you might have. Oh my gosh, all right, that's too bright. Let's do this real quick. As you can see, this light is extremely bright. I don't use it too often unless I'm in a really dark situation and I can't use any other source of light. It's not the best light to use. That's why I want to diffuse it a little bit, and I might even diffuse it a little bit more. But I've made this type of softbox before. And just, you know, this light comes with its own diffuser that doesn't really do much of anything. But I've made this type of softbox before. I've made it for my DIY lights that I use here in my little studio, and they work great for these lights. So I figured, why not make it for this? It's the same principle of building this as it is building the big one. So let's get right to it. I'm using dollar store foam board. I mean, it's as cheap as it can get, and I'm using some freezer paper and some tin foil, and that's pretty much all you need. Now, the angle you need to cut this out with, I'll put it up on the screen because I forget offhand what that angle is. I'll measure it, I'll get you the correct angle. But all you do is really measure out whatever your light source is, whatever the housing is, you measure out the base of it, and that's going to be the base of your light here. You measure that out, put it on your poster board, and then you measure how far you want to go up, how much of a distance here you want to go. Diffusing light, you're pretty much going to make better lighting, better video, and everything like that. It's not going to be as harsh. So all you really need to do is measure everything out and cut it out. I usually only worry about the distance that it goes around the light, and then up here you want to make sure this and this is parallel. As long as they're the same distance apart, you should be okay. Use that angle that I put up on the screen, and you can make this as big or small as you want. Experiment a little bit, play around with your light and your diffusion material, and see what you like best. I mean, this stuff is cheap. It's a lot cheaper than buying a big, huge photographic softbox, that's for sure. And it works pretty well. And like I said, this light's pretty hot. I might put another sheet of diffusion on here and see how that does, if it's what I want. And it's just, I mean, I could even just diffuse the middle of it. I can play around and see what I like and how I like, you know, it's experimenting with this and getting the light you like. And you might change it up per video, you know what I mean? Actually, I'm gonna put this on here now and take a look. I'm just kind of curious. And then you want to go ahead and put a little bit of glue stick on there, or any type of glue that you have, so you can adhere the tin foil. Now, I like to kind of match everything up like a puzzle, so when I put the tin foil down, I'm not wasting really any tin foil, and then I'm just patching up the little corners that I couldn't really put the tin foil on. And then once the glue dries, I'm cutting it out, and then we're going to assemble it. Now, it is nice to have another set of hands when you're assembling this, but you can do it on your own. It's a little more difficult. You could use tape to help hold it, but I found that using hot glue makes it pretty strong. I mean, you can't, this isn't going to be a portable light. This is something you're going to use at your studio, at your house, something like that. You're not really going to be taking this light out anywhere because it'll probably fall apart on you in transport. But I mean, this light's pretty strong. I don't want to put too much weight on it, but gluing it together makes it pretty strong, pretty durable in that respect. And honestly, with the big lights I have here, I haven't had an issue where it was getting too hot and the glue was, well, melting. Everything was falling apart. Knock on wood, it hasn't happened yet. So having an extra set of hands is helpful when hot gluing all this together. If anything, just put a little tack of hot glue down around the whole thing, and then you can put a nice bead of hot glue down once you're done to really secure it. All right, now I need just the diffusion material, and I'm just using freezer paper. And believe it or not, it works pretty good. Now granted, this is kind of small scale compared to the studio lights I'm using here, but it works pretty good for the studio lights that I'm using here. And these studio lights I made, well, they're just DIY lights as well. Nothing fancy. Pretty cheap, and they're bright enough to light me pretty well. Now you can play around with different sizes, play around with different diffusion paper, play around with which side works better compared to the other side of the diffusion paper, and really, well, get the best. I mean, you buy a softbox anyways, all it is pretty much the same thing. It's just diffusing the light, and as long as you can diffuse the light, you're doing pretty good. Now this is definitely the part of photography that I like, in the respect to, you can make a lot of stuff on your own, do a lot of DIY, and save a lot of money, because photography stuff, for some reason, always seems to be really expensive. So this is kind of fun. Get creative. And you can attach this however you want to your softbox. I'm just gonna use painter's tape at the moment. Nothing fancy. You could clearly get, gaffer's tape or something like that and attach it a lot fancier if you want. It's all up to you. I'm mainly gonna be using this in my house, in my workshop. Nobody's really gonna see it, so I'm not too concerned. As long as it does its job, which is diffuse light. All right, and there we go. Let's test this thing out, see how it looks. I'm just really using friction. Help if I turn the power on. I'm just using a friction fit with this thing. I'm curious. So, no matter how I mount it, if I have it up here and I have doing a top-down review, you know what I mean? I can get something light, make a bracket for it, and get it to work. I can maybe put it up here, use it as a hair light, even though I don't have much hair. But regardless, it's just a friction fit. I could also put some sort of band around it. Your light's gonna be different. You gotta figure out how you're gonna mount it to your own light. But this is pretty simple, to say the least. Now let's, let me find something to photograph and test this light out and show you the difference between it being diffused. I mean, you can kind of already see already, this is super bright. And I mean, even if you dial it down, it's still bright, it's still harsh. It's handy. You're not really gonna see it from that point anyways, and no one's gonna be coming over to see this stuff as it is. And light's light, diffuse it, do what you need to do with the light, and you're well on your way to making some interesting photographs, doing some, better video and stuff like that. So hopefully this tutorial helped you. Hopefully this how-to helped you. I'm a little scattered today. I need another cup of coffee. And I'm rambling a little bit too much. So I'll see you on the next one. I'm gonna have to go and edit right now to see if I can make sense of all this. I'm tired. I want to go to sleep right now. I can't think straight. So hopefully this works. I'll see you on the next one.